Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you so much, Maldmay Youth Group. Let's clap for them once again. We good? Thank you. Once again, I want to welcome you. Great thanks to Maldmay Youth Group. They've indeed entrusted me to request you to turn to your delegate and ask your delegate, do you guard your life jealously? Just ask the delegate next to you. Don't be afraid. Turn to your delegate and tell your delegate, do you guard your life jealously? That was in the second song. Think about it. Do we guard our lives jealously? Do we guard our lives selflessly and selfishly so? That hit me so hard. And the very last question to your fellow delegate. I told you this is going to be so much of inclusion. I'm not doing this alone. Ask your neighbor, do you check for HIV and AIDS? Turn to your fellow delegate. You can laugh. This is how we take health a little bit light. Just turn to your neighbor. Ask your fellow delegate there, do you check for HIV and AIDS? You can see the smiles you're getting. You can see the smile like, of course. We need to be very intentional with our health. Friends who have just joined us, once again, I want to welcome you. My name is Andrew Chamagero, and I'm your Master of Ceremony today. The theme for this conference is the right to health, a vital component in achieving the SDGs. And that's why we have our international partners like the World Health Organization here with us, the Ministry of Health, the School of Public Health from Makerere University, and so much more. But before we dive into more of this session, allow me to welcome our Chief Executive, rather our Executive Director, Ms. Fache Chiange, to come and give us her official remarks, and then she will invite the board to equally greet us. We get to know them because this is the very first one of the kind. Let's welcome Fache.
Good morning once again. Thank you so much, Andrew. And allow me to warmly welcome you sincerely on behalf of CEHAD, Center for Health, Human Rights and Development, and on behalf of the partnership of CEHAD and the Ministry of Health, to this important conference. It's the first of its nature. It's on health, human rights and development. The chair of the scientific committee, Professor Makumbi, has already elaborated why we came up with this theme. And it's simple, the three pillars, health, human rights, and development, none of that can be achieved by 2030 without the other. We cannot realize good health and well-being for all people, especially those farthest behind, if we do not have human rights at the center of our health planning, at the center of our healthcare services, at the center of our healthcare education. Also, we cannot achieve and realize good health and well-being for all that gives us the right, that takes us to realize the right to health if we ignore other SDGs. The SDG on gender equality, SDG on quality education, ending poverty, climate action, and many others. So this is the thinking behind this conference and the thinking behind the theme, that we all need to work together. It's not just about the Ministry of Health, it's about education, it's about trade, it's about agriculture, it's about all. And it is only through that that we'll get to where we want to be by 2030, but also where we want to be as a country by 2040, reflecting on the Vision 2040 for Uganda. Allow me to welcome you all, and allow me to observe the protocol that has already been put forth. And I want to warmly thank you all for choosing to be part of this history. I think this day will be history, and we'll have it recorded, and you will be in that record. So thank you so much for accepting to be part of this. Allow me to appreciate the Ministry of Health for being the partner for the collaboration on this important event. All those who submitted abstracts, we are looking forward and we thank you. The reviewers of those abstracts, the organizing committee, most importantly, our donors and our funders. This could not happen without you. And allow me to just mention the key supporters for this conference. We have Planned Parenthood Global, and we have them in the room. Please, if you don't mind, can people see you? We have the Embassy of Sweden in Uganda that are funding this work and this conference in particular. We have a team in the room. Please. We do have the French Embassy in Uganda. I think they are not yet here, but they have also supported this cause. We have Sonke Gender Justice. They have traveled all the way from South Africa to join us. Please raise up for recognition. We have right here, right now, we have Population Services International. Are they here already? Yes, we have PSI. Do we have right here, right now, here in the room? Yes, we have. We have Hewlett Foundation, who are not here. We have Wellspring Philanthropy, who are not yet here, who are not here with us, but we recognize that they support this work and they have supported this conference. We have many others. We have the banks. We have Golden Tulip here. We have Stambik. We have many from the corporate side that have supported this cause. We thank you very, very much. This could not happen without you. And each one of you, by deciding to be here and support this conference, you're a sponsor and you're a donor of this conference. We appreciate you. I hope, and we hope, as the co-organizers of this conference, that we'll be re-energized and will be inspired and will be motivated to do more to ensure that everyone in this country realizes the right to health, because it is a human right, and that our healthcare system and services will have the right to health as their core, looking at the most vulnerable people. When we have healthcare services that put human rights at the center, then we know that those farthest behind are going to access services without going into financial hardship. And that is a very important message for this conference. And I know all of us here in this room serve the most vulnerable. And this conference is about us learning more, reflecting of whether we are reaching those people. Finally, allow me to appreciate the board of directors of SEHAD that are giving us stewardship. They're in the room, and I'm going to give them very few minutes, maybe a few minutes, for them to come and say something to you. Our chair of the board will come, and he will invite, or he will say a few remarks, and then he will invite the chair of the trustees. And with those few remarks, I once again appreciate you all, and I wish you, on behalf of SEHAD and the collaboration with ministry, a great engagement over the next 3 days. My chair of the board, please. My chair of the board is Mr. Akram Ziwa. He's escorted by his vice chair. I'm sure you can see the gender balance here. Ms. Agnes Chirabo. Over to you, my chair of the board.
Thank you, the Executive Director of Center for Health, Human Rights and Development. Allow me to go through the protocol. The Honorable Minister of Education, of Health, who is in absentia, but we expect her in the next few minutes to come. The Honorable Members of Parliament, Honorable Commissioners from the Ministry of Health, WHO, country representative in Uganda, officials from the Ministry of Health, government ministries, departments and agencies, the UN agencies present, the SEHAD Board of Trustees, fellow board members, civil society organizations, those who are engaged in the healthcare system, and the young people present, the development partners, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning to you all. We welcome you all to this Uganda National Conference on Health, Human Rights and Development, with the theme, the right to health, which is a vital component in achieving the SDGs. We know we have 17 SDGs, but particularly SEHAD relates to SDG 3, that is health and social well-being. This is going to be our home in the next 3 days. This conference has been organized in partnership with the Ministry of Health. We thank you so much for accepting to be our partner. I want you to feel at home because we're going to learn so much. We understand that health is a very vital social service within the sector, and we are very much aware that the government of Uganda has put a lot of attention to health and social well-being of all Ugandans, irrespective of their background. I would like to introduce the board of directors of SEHAD, and with me here I have Ms. Agnes Kirabo, who is a food rights activist and the vice chair of the board, who is also heading our Human Resources Committee. Then you have the treasurer of the board, who is Mr. Jonathan Cheyune, a finance expert working with the United Nations. I don't know whether he's in the room. Then you have other board members, Dr. Sevisubi Musoke, a retired medical practitioner who used to work with the Ministry of Health, but now into private practice. We have Ms. Penelope Saju, who is a chief steward and a feminist. We have our ex-official member, who is also the executive director, Ms. Fatia Chiangi, she's standing with us. So our role as a board is to give the strategic direction to this organization in order to realize the right to health, which is a very vital component in achieving all the SDGs as mentioned by the ED. I would also like to take this opportunity, part of the time that has been given to us, to recognize and also invite our councils, who are the Board of Trustees of Center for Health, Human Rights and Development, and also our institute called Afya na Haki. So I would like to use this opportunity to welcome the Chair, Board of Trustees. I don't have the mandate to introduce the Board of Trustees, but I would like to request Professor Ben Twino Mugisha to come and introduce the Board of Trustees and give welcoming remarks to you all. Thank you so much.
Good morning all. As a classroom teacher, I don't know how to observe protocol because in class I am the boss and the students, the learners are my subjects. Having said that, I observe the protocol. I know there are people from Ministry of Health, WHO, our development partners, and others. At this juncture, given that we started late, I would like to request the members of the Board of Trustees who are here to stand up. Professor Segane Musi, who has grayed like me. In my faith, we say gray hair is a sign of wisdom and an indication that you have walked a path of righteousness. Professor Segane is the Vice Chair of the Board of Trustees. He's a professor of psychiatry. And I should even say that he was even a founding board member of Center for Health, Human Rights and Development. Dr. Moses Murumba, PhD, is the founding executive director of Center for Health, Human Rights and Development, currently Director General of Afya na Haki, that is AHAKI, and a member of the Board of Trustees. Other members of the Board of Trustees, we have Professor Emmanuel Kasimbazi, but like for us, the teachers, we always do, he has gone to deliver knowledge in the US in one of the universities, and he sends in his apologies. Madame Jane Nalunga, is Jane Nalunga around? She has not come. Jane Nalunga is the executive director, is a member of the Board of Trustees, but she is the executive director of CITIN Uganda, that organization that handles issues of trade, both at the international level and the national level, tackling issues of WTO. And she even helps us on issues of health and human rights, because within the WTO system, we have issues of GATS and even agreement on agriculture, where the nexus between food rights and health rights becomes critical in achieving some of the sustainable development goals. I would like to, what am I? I'm supposed to go after this? Yes, so I'm supposed that my role is simply to welcome you. Thank you for coming. But I just want to thank in a special way those young children of Mild May. Stand up and they give you a clap once again. Just in 1 minute, when HIV was first discovered in 1984 in Rakai, the stigma, the discrimination that surrounded persons living with HIV was enormous. In Uganda, people could not even eat with persons living with HIV. But now we've moved milestones in terms of ARVs, in terms of tackling mother-to-child transmission. I looked at the faces of these young children, and I remembered the time when we started the discourse on health and human rights in this country, following the works of Jonathan Mann on health and human rights, who said we must move beyond the public health control and command approach to health to include human rights, so that when we are talking about health programs and policies, we find out the extent to which they protect the rights of persons living with HIV. So I'm glad these children, part of the very many that may have acquired HIV from their mothers, are here to give us smiles and being supported by Mardme. I'm excited about that. And please give them again a hand of applause. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Our board of directors and board of trustees of SEHAD, finally allow me to appreciate the youth from Maldme, Uganda. The message is truly aligned. It's comprehensive, it's aligned to this theme of the conference. When we ensure that the right to health is realized, when we ensure that we give holistic, comprehensive health care, we see smiles. So, and yes, they were referring to HIV, but this applies to all conditions. So thank you so much, the youth from the Maldme Center. We appreciate you. The message was powerful, and we've taken it seriously. Over to you, MC Andrew. Thank you so much for listening to me.
Friends, I want to thank you for corporate governance. I want to thank the Board of Trustees and the Board of Directors. Thank you so much. It was good to see that the board is equally in sync with the works we actually do. In a special way, I want to welcome Dr. Charles Ayume, the chairperson, Uganda Parliamentary Health Committee. You're welcome, sir. Let's clap for him. So much welcome. And for our other funders and partners, allow me to mention you for this, as Maldme gives us only two other last songs, and then we shall call it a day for them. Maldme, as you make your way here, allow me to thank the Ministry of Health, the Makerere School of Public Health, and of course SEHAD, our key partners here. I want to appreciate the PPG, the Swedish Embassy, Population Services International, AHF, Uganda Cares, right here, right now, Generation Gender, Stanbic Bank, Golden Tulip, and in a special way, I want to thank you, the delegate who took time to be here with us today as we are having our inaugural National Conference on Health, Human Rights and Development. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, I present you the Maldme Youth Group to give us two songs, and then we shall dive into the next agenda.
Join it with him. I'm going to heaven to live with
Let's clap for them again. Thank you so much, Maldme. They're indeed soldiers and they're fighting a great battle. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to recognize the presence of UNESCO. Let me request the UNESCO team to stand up for recognition. UNESCO team, these are part of our great partners today. And we have a representative from the World Health Organization. She's here. Let's clap for her. Thank you so much for coming. And of course, we have UNDP equally with us, representative from UNDP. Okay, they'll be here with us shortly. Ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, allow me that we get diving into the big agenda today. We start the conversations. And this session is going to be moderated by Dr. Charles Ayume. Let me welcome Dr. Charles Ayume to join up here. We clap. This man makes our agendas flow on the floor of Parliament, especially in health. Let me welcome Miss Ruth Nabosa Chirabo, a young person. Ruth Chirabo Nabosa, a young person, to join us up here. Let's make her welcome. She's young and energetic. You're welcome, Ruth. You look amazing. Let me have Mr. Emmanuel Ntabora from the Uganda National Association of the Deaf to come and join us here. Let's welcome him as well. Let's welcome him. This is a special person with abilities. You're welcome. Just the other day, we're celebrating 50 years of the human rights struggle of the deaf people in Uganda. 50 years. That's how far they've come. And let me welcome Miss Maxensia Nachibuka to come and join us. Let's welcome Maxensia. Let me request our team to help Maxensia to get to us. In the same vein, let's welcome Miss Rita Nampela about maternal and child health to come and join us up here. Rita Nampela. Let's welcome her. She's here, she's coming, she's making her way. Allow me to pass over the mantle to the comrade Charles Ayume to take over this session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chamagero. Invited guests in your distinguished capacities, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. My name is Dr. Charles Ayume. I'm the Member of Parliament for Koboka Municipality, and I chair the Parliamentary Committee on Health. I chair the Parliamentary Committee on Health, and it's an honor, it's a privilege to be here to speak at this very important activity, the Uganda National Conference on Health and Human Rights and Development, under the theme, The Right to Health, a vital component in achieving SDGs. The roles of Parliament are 4 cardinal roles, and I'll try and etch that, is legislation, that's appropriation, oversight, and representation. The other things that we do, procurement of ambulances and so forth, that is really outside our mandate. And when you're looking at me from here, you should not score me from how many barriers I've attended, but how many pieces of legislation I have presided over. We're looking at the rights to health, but from my side, when I'm looking at health, from the policy aspect, planning aspect, and from the parliament level, I'm not looking at it as infrastructure, availability of medicines and equipment and human resource. There are other facets that speak to health. One of them is efficient governance. Governance right from the top, the political leadership, up to the household. If there is no buy-in from the political level, and we have seen so many successes at the level of Uganda, the HIV/AIDS journey is one of them. If there was no political buy-in from the highest office, we would not have made those gains. The other issue is how do we harness the information from the grassroots, escalate it to inform policy. And then, of course, medicine, supplies, legislation is a very important component. When we're talking about health rights, my apologies for coming late. One of the reasons why I came late is there is a subpopulation called intersex persons. We erroneously lumped them in the LGBT group. And as a legislator, as a medical doctor, I know these people are born by an act of God during embryogenesis, chromosomes, genetics. So I had an earlier meeting where I was interfacing with this group of people, with members of the Parliamentary Committee on legal, to try and bring them up to speed, because most people are misinterpreting these people under the LGBTQ community. So as a legislator, I felt that we should give these people a platform. Government should recognize these people through an act of parliament. But I noticed that I had to sensitize my colleagues. Yesterday I began with 20 members of parliament of the health committee. Youth MPs were present. Today it's the legal committee. Tuesday it's the human rights committee. Wednesday it's the committee of gender, labor and social development and so forth. If we are to legislate and make very good laws, then we have to be equipped with the necessary knowledge. Whenever I try to bring it up in different fora on the floor of parliament, most people thought I was the other side. It's a very delicate place to be. So legislation is quite important if we are to achieve the aspirations of why we're here. Now, back to my simple task of moderating this panel discussion. We have four panelists, Ms. Ruth Nabosa Chirabo. She's a young person, and I think the common denominator here, which I do not fall in, is age. I think all these are youth, if I'm not mistaken. By the receding of my hairline, I don't fall into the youth bracket. I'm over 35 years old. So we have Ms. Ruth Nabosa, she's a young person. Mr. Emmanuel Tabora, Uganda National Association of the Deaf. Ms. Maxenia Nakivuka, multiple mobilities. Ms. Rita Nampera, she's from Ministry of Health, Maternal and Child Health. So we'll start with Ms. Ruth Nabosa. Ms. Ruth? Yes. Good morning.
Good morning.
How do you feel?
I feel great, and I feel so thrilled to be a delegate here and one of the panelists. Thank you so much.
I hope you're happy with Parliament of Uganda.
To a certain extent.
Despite the delegation, the huge delegation we sent to the UN Assembly of 81, I hope you're still happy with us.
Yes, I am.
Okay, we are always in the news for the wrong things, but we do good things. Now, Ruth, as a young person, can you please share an example of a situation where you feel the healthcare system met your health needs and expectations? Which areas need improvement to ensure access to your friendly services as a youth?
Okay. Greetings to you all. I am Nabosa Ruth Chirabo. I'm 20 years of old, and I am a young adolescent peer support at Mildmay, Uganda. And by God's grace, I'm currently the speaker of the Mildmay Youth Council. And I am one of the happy and the healthy youths that are happy with the health system to a certain extent through Mildmay, Uganda. At the age of 5 years, I was tested at Mildmay, Uganda. You know, we are in the battle of HIV/AIDS, so I am one of the passionate young people who are out to advocate for zero HIV or zero mother-child transmission, because I'm a victim. Through Mildmay, Uganda, I was tested and found positive then. 5 years, that's what I remember, I was 5 years. And then I was started on art after some time, and successfully I got to take my tabs very well. Mildmay counselors and the Mildmay team were able to follow up my medication, and I took my tablets very well, frequently, getting the best drugs, the best dosage according to the different qualities they take or consider. I was followed up by the excellent doctors and the counselors at Mildmay, Uganda, where I took my tablets to, I remember I got suppressed, as in suppression, getting viral load that is suppressed. If I can explain, suppression is having zero virus in my blood, or in that drop of blood they take. And I got TND then, and that is an achievement of Mildmay. That is they met the 395% through me, and through me I have been able to help other adolescents to get to the same, as in to get to the same viral load suppression, supporting over 80 youths, adolescents to suppression, and that is the best, as so far I can tell. Yeah, so through Mildmay still, I get the best medications towards UTIs as a girl, UTIs, the best information, quality information about my body changes and puberty, the best information about the modern contraceptives I can use as a youth, about the most information I need to know about my health. I'm usually told, and I'm usually told the best and the most quality information. So there, the health system met my expectations, because I'm now a healthy and happy youth, and I advocate for smiling. I always tell my adolescents to smile in every situation. You know, our counselors usually follow us up, as in to follow up our mental health, because some of us really live with maybe stepmothers who really discriminate us. We live with people who discriminate us, our own family members, and we are fine with that. We get to appreciate our status, yes, in our environment. So through that, our mental health was also met. You know, COVID brought about a lot of, bad things, or mental health illnesses increased then. You know, we used to live with our parents, stepmothers, the torture, the discrimination, so that then, unfortunately, increased my ulcers then. And I was going for my HSC 2022, and the ulcers really disturbed my education. I would have been at campus right now, but then the mental the mental illness I got, or the depression I got during COVID, as the health practitioner, as the health people can relate depression with ulcers, I got them, and they really became bad. They hindered my education 2022. I was doing BCM at my high school, and then I couldn't read. You know, I had to get medication, and definitely you can't get medication at school. So, but I was given medication, good enough, I'm now fine. But then it brought scars to me, to my education then. But then I hope I will be a doctor, and I feel so good to be around doctors, because yes, it is my dream and it is my passion. I love treating people.
Thank you, Ruth. Just to pause it a bit there. Which areas do you, and I really thank you very much for trying to highlight the successes, and first and foremost, a big round of applause to Mild May for giving our youth hope. But Ruth, which areas do you think need improvement to ensure access to youth-friendly services?
Oh, thank you. I think the areas that have to be improved by maybe the relevant stakeholders, I think we need to improve the information and the platformation as the youths, because I can't give a story for much of time, but then quality information, the best people to talk to, because as youths we really need people to talk to for the different things we go through, more so the positives, or the positives of the other diseases, you know, sexual transmitted infections or diseases. We really need people to talk to. We need access and availability of these services, such as Mild May. If we get a lot of services, as in these youths can easily access services or SRH services through Mild May or other facilities. We also need maybe more capacity building of more advocates such as me, people who can come out and passionately speak that we have to get this. As the girls, as the young people there, also the men, we prize. We also need to reach out to communities, because I usually see in communities, we give out condoms and stuff in the communities, but then we need to extend services like sanitary pads to these girls free of charge, breast cancer screening, cervical cancer screening, mental health screening and management. We need to extend these services to the people out there, so they will literally have a hard time to come to about. Is maybe we need what results to give you. So these girls at times have gotten complaints, as in my friends sharing stories where girls are harassed because the lecturers are like, we won't give you results if you don't do this with me. So I think it is something the government should work upon, the parliament should work upon, fellow advocates should work on the suffering with fees. So they are getting retakes just because a lecturer wants to use you. I'm sorry for this, but it is really bad. It is making my head pound, and I would love the parliament to follow up on that, or get a legal aid to help out these girls. And also the men, because literally they may find you, you're having this cute girlfriend, and then they beat you up because of your girlfriend, or the lecturer refuses to give you your results because of your beautiful girlfriend.
Thank you very much.
Yes, it's both on the men and the women.
Thank you very much, Ruth Nabosa Chirabo. She has put lecturers on notice and men on notice. So if there are any people from academia, I can see my professor there but he's a good guy. I'm sure he doesn't indulge in these things. Yes, but she's really spoken passionately about how she has been helped by Mild May and by government. It speaks also to government, but of course on areas that need improvement in terms of accessibility, mentorship and advocacy. They're advocates and they're mentoring. You heard she superintends over a group of how many? How many people? You said you superintend over a group of how many people to access?
80 and beyond.
80 and beyond?
Yes.
So you're most welcome to Koboko. You know, some of these things should not only, my LC5 chairperson is there. You please take her number for the purpose of inviting her to speak to our youth, not other things. And of course, capacity building. Now, capacity building, like I said, we are led down by policies and guidelines. The school health policy, it's one of the longest pregnancies. I think it has been, Dr. Lara is here. I don't know if you talk to your counterparts in Mini, but unfortunately, the highest person in Ministry of Education is not somebody I can call as a chair of a committee and say, where is the school health policy? She happens to be the First Lady of this country. So I keep on talking to her slowly. That Honorable Minister, where is the school health policy? But hopefully we shall get it, and it really helps us in capacity building. What should we put in the syllabus to be able to address some of the concerns that she's talking about? Before we move on to the next speaker, the next panelist, we have integrated, and I thank my colleagues at Ministry of Health, that in HIV management now we have incorporated non-communicable diseases. It's a must now that we look at management of HIV/AIDS holistically. We just don't look at the opportunistic infections and yet somebody has diabetes and high blood pressure. So I think we need to move as a unit. People living with HIV/AIDS are growing longer compared to the 1990s. And of course, as a parliament, we were able to appropriate 50 billion shillings to the HIV/AIDS program because our good donors had told us over the next 10 years we need to be biting into how much we appropriate. So this financial year we were able to give 50 billion shillings as government commitment to the program. I think that deserves a hand clap. So thank you very much, Ruth. We'll move to our next speaker, Mr. Emmanuel Ntabora. We want Emmanuel to give us his insights onto the SDGs, SDG number 3. And Mr. Emmanuel, to ensure that no one is left behind in accessing holistic healthcare services, what would you advise the Ugandan government focus on as part of advancing good health and well-being, that is SDG 3, for all people and the SDGs?
Yeah, all right. Thank you so much, Doctor, and our MC. I'm called Emmanuel. I'll first introduce myself, Emmanuel Ntabora, coming from Uganda National Association of the Deaf, and I am here to represent the different categories of people with disabilities as well. Yes, before I answer the question, and also related to Goal 3 SDG, the right to health and social well-being, briefly, yes, I came from Uganda National Association of the Deaf. This is an organization, an umbrella organization that takes care of all deaf people, also including people with other disabilities. Yes, of course, there are doctors here and medical personnel. That means that you take care of us as well. And also, you know, disability, the statistics is, it is 12.4% UBOS 2014. Now, in the area of health and right to health, many times, as people with disabilities face lots of challenges, in the area of rights, like rights on health. Many times as people with disabilities, when we come to the health centers, it's like we don't get the right information. The attitude from you, the medical personnel, the nurses, you look at us as people who are not important, really. That is a big challenge in achieving our right to health. We have the UN Convention on the Rights of People with Disabilities. This takes care of our rights, and also the right to health is embedded in that convention. So it is important that we are all respected equally. So in my call to government, what we realize that people with disabilities are left behind. First of all, access to information. Yeah, for example, government, when you're putting out information on health, people with disabilities, especially the deaf, we do not benefit from that information. Why? Because, like on TVs, no sign language interpreters. So if there is no interpreter, then we are not benefiting from that health information. Sometimes there are different adverts. Government, you make lots of adverts, and you forget to be inclusive. You forget to, to have this simple or friendly language to people with disabilities to be able to access information. And also, more in the area of many times, people with disabilities, when we get to courts and we have health issues, probably you have been violated, then we are also discriminated. It's like we are not important. That is how you view us. And sometimes we are even taken to prison without hearing our case. Now, my call is, there are so many laws that government has put up which are really good. For example, Uganda recognized sign language in its constitution in 1995. This is good. We really appreciate government for recognizing. But implementation is a challenge. There are so many good acts that we have on disability. But implementation, we have the Act 2020. Even in Parliament, we do have representatives. We have 5 members of Parliament representing people with disabilities. We also have other structures like the local councils. So it is our advocacy to see that we are treated equally and we benefit equally. It is my call. We call upon government is that what you have put up on, with the laws that you have put up, let them be implemented. If they are not implemented, then we will stay behind. Yes, the other call I request government is that government establishes different centers, health centers, orthopedic workshops, which are really good, but my challenge is access. Like my colleague with a physical disability here may not be able to access. If she went to hospital with a wheelchair, and sometimes the health centers are really far, even getting to the health centers is a challenge because of the distances and of course our roads. Some hospitals don't have roads like what we don't have here. So you see, it is, that presents to us a challenge. And yeah, it violates our right in accessing health. Yes, the other call is that many times, yeah, government has some free services in hospitals, but you forget that we also have to put sign language interpreters in the public structures. I want to give an example. If a deaf person is pregnant and we come to hospital, when we get to hospital and you want services, probably for pregnancy, the nurse or doctor will just change the story and refer you to ENT. You go for those services, as if you had gone for those services. But my objective was, antenatal, but you're referring me to ENT. So this means that, accessing services is a challenge because of communication with the medical personnel. So kindly, government, take into consideration, mainstreaming the interpreters in the structures. Yes, sustainable development goals, yes, leave no one behind. People with disabilities should also be not left behind. Thank you so much.
Another round of applause for Emmanuel. And he's really touched on so many things. And from the side of a legislator in Parliament, we feel challenged, but not all hope is lost. I think Uganda over the years has taken significant strides in recognizing special interest groups at all levels. And some are policies, some are guidelines, but some are acts of parliament. And that's why in our parliament, like he ably put it, we have 5 people representing persons with disabilities. And I think that has been there for the last 25 years. So it's important, and I have lived with a disability for 1 year after a football injury, so I know how hard it is, and I give them respect. And unfortunately, I recovered, I am back to my feet, but moving around with crutches was not a very pleasant experience. So Emmanuel, as a member of parliament, trust me, you have a convert in parliament. Whenever there's anything to do with legislation on special interest groups, particularly persons with disabilities, to make their quality of life better, I am an advocate. And that's why I told you, actually before coming here, I am swimming up a current, a tide of trying to get my fellow colleagues in parliament to understand the subpopulation of persons with disorders of sex developments, what we call hermaphrodites, but that's derogatory language. These are people with ambiguous genitalia. A man with a penis, but he has a uterus and an ovary, and these people do exist in the community. So it may not be a popular piece of legislation, but I took an oath as a doctor, I took an oath as a member of parliament, and I hope we shall deliver it in 1 year's time. So thank you very much. So we go to our panelists 3. Mr. Chamagero, if I am not using my time very well, you're free to whip me into order. Ms. Maxensia Nachivuka. Ms. Maxensia Nachivuka. In your view, in which areas is Uganda's healthcare system doing well in addressing the health needs of people with multiple morbidities, where a person has more than one disease condition at the same time? Which areas need to be improved, and how do you think they should be improved? Thank you. I will give you 5 minutes.
Thank you so much, Doctor. I'm happy to be on this panel. My name is Maxensia. Doctor, I heard you pronouncing it Maxenia. I am Maxensia Nachivuka. I'm a human rights and HIV activist.